Like a grand and miraculous spaceship, our planet has sailed through the universe of time.
Like a grand and miraculous spaceship.
Grand and miraculous.
Grand and miraculous.
I think with the Muppets, there's sort of an innocence to them, you know? Mm-hmm. And I think that's something that appeals to the child in everybody. Because I think everybody is a child still.
Well, we all want to build a time machine, Doc. So when you enter Disneyland, you're entering a time machine.
I only hope that we never lose sight of one thing, that it was all started by a mouse.
Hey, good evening, everybody. Hope everybody's doing fantastic this Tuesday night. Welcome to Grodin and Miraculous. We're at episode 43. Mind blown. Thank you so much, everybody, for being here. Either if this is your first time here or your 43rd, super grateful that you're here. I want to set the stage a little bit differently tonight because this is a different attraction to talk about. You notice the image I have up on screen. Let's go back to May 1st, 1989. So in Florida, obviously, the new Disney MGM Studios theme park is grand opening, and everyone in the company who matters is there at the party. So you see Michael Eisner, Jeffrey Katzenberg is there, George Lucas is there. You know, Star Tours has been the hit of Disneyland for 2 years by now, and he's just shipped Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, which premieres in 3 weeks. Peter Schneider is there, the head of Disney Feature Animation. Roy E. Disney is there. Marty Sklar is there. The whole company, basically, is in Florida. And there's someone else who's there. A 33-year-old Imagineer. His name is Jerry Rees. Now, Rees has been directing attractions at the new park for essentially 2 years now. Do you guys remember Back to Neverland? That's the animation tour short that featured Robin Williams and Walter Cronkite. That's his. The park he's been working inside since 1987 is now a real park. He has his drink. His wife, Rebecca, is on his arm, and she's 8 months pregnant with her first child. George Lucas walks up. The Indiana Jones Stunt Spectacular, this is a new live show across the park, is frankly not ready. Pacing is wrong. The story doesn't land. And the opening is 3 months away. He asks Jerry Rees, can you fix it? Rees says yes. I mean, George Lucas asks you to fix something. You say yes, right? Well, minutes later, another gentleman walks up. Peter Schneider. The Wonders of Life Pavilion at Epcot, the one we walked through last week, opens in 5 months. The headlining show is on the second floor. The one the audience meets after they're done with Body Wars. It's in trouble. Now, the previous production company has been let go. The pavilion just can't open without it. Can you take that on too? Jerry Rees says yes, drink still in hand. July 27th, 1989, Skylar Rees is born. The Cranium Command production sprint is halfway through. Now, Jerry storyboards in his room next to his first child's first weeks of life. This is a night a trusted young director became the rescue of 2 attractions and a rookie father in roughly that order. So we're here for the second of those stories, the second of those rescues, the one that opened on October 19th, 1989, inside the same gold dome that we were inside last week. Welcome to Cranium Command. So this is Grand and Miraculous. I'm John, aka Spaceship Ears. Thank you so much for being here. Welcome to episode 43. I want to welcome everybody in chat. I saw lots of great friends I'm going to do my best to say hello to very quickly because we have a lot of show to cover tonight. Beaker and Honeydew, very frequently first one in to wish us well. Hello, Beaker and Honeydew. I know you mentioned you haven't heard of this show. If you haven't seen it, I hope you get a chance to watch tonight. I'm going to play some of it if I can. And I think you'll really enjoy it. Good Lolly Lane. Miss Kate, hope you're doing great. Such a big help for me this week planning this show. Thank you so much. Lamont's Gray is in the house. Hey, Lamont, you choked me up for a second. Miss K Bell is in the house. Hello, Miss K. Darling stepmom, hope you're doing great. Theme Park Casual. Hey, Danny, thanks for being here. Thanks for your support, as always. Izzo's Place is in the house. Hello, Izzo's. We were talking about Buzzy before. Scroll. Let's see who else is in the house. I saw Paul Newitt. Hey, Paul. Hope you're doing great. One of these days, we need to have an episode on your contributions, but we'll plan that later. Weird Old Man's in the house. Hello, my friend. Hope you're doing great. Mattercam Matt. Hello, Matt. Thanks for your support. I saw Nico the Greco. Hello, Nico. Hope you're doing great. Dave's Disney Dreams. Hey, Dave. Hope you're doing great. Thanks for being here tonight. Scroll. I saw Karen Cook is in the house. Hello, Miss Karen. Hope you're doing fantastic. Bitritz is in the house. Hug those kiddos for us, like I said. Let's see. Did I miss anyone? Disney Teacher Life. Hello, my friend. Hope you're doing great. Thanks for being here. And Miss Monorail Molly. Hope you're doing fantastic, Miss Jen. All right. So in case this is the first time you've been here, this is what our show is all about. We are here to unveil the magic behind these attractions, exploring their creators, their immersive worlds, and the moments that keep us coming back. Tonight's going to be a little bit different than most nights. I usually like to land some kind of emotional, resonant story behind it. This attraction is all about having fun. So we're going to try and have some fun tonight. Of course, there are fantastic stories behind it. No exception. Hopefully you have some fun along with us. As always, I start off with some trivia to get your neurons working, which is very appropriate for tonight. So, 2 parts of Bobby's Body in the show are voiced by this famous Saturday Night Live duo, Dana Carvey and Kevin Nealon, reprising one of the most beloved Saturday Night Live sketches. What do they represent in the body? In chat, if you have any, please do share all your memories of this amazing attraction. This attraction, as we'll get to know and love, was very much lightning in a bottle, and it would be great to hear your opinions as well. This is not just me up here talking for an hour, although it'll seem like it. This is a community effort, so what I really need for you to do is to go to the website, www.grandandmiraculous.show, and use the code tonight to vote. MIND. M-I-N-D is a code. So please use that code. You can go to the website, and you can vote along the same 3 pillars we do every week. And we'll see how this attraction measures up. Let's see if there missed anyone in chat. I think that's everybody. So we have a lot to cover about. So let's get into it. Just one note about tonight. Last week was a story of a ride that, the concept kind of ran past a decade that built it. Tonight's the story is a little different. It's a show whose execution caught up to the concept on the very first try. Now, it's the same pavilion, same MetLife, same closure date, opposite outcome. Couldn't have been different outcome. So we're just going to kind of lay them side by side in the same gold dome at the end. Standard stuff applies. I want to give a big thanks to the Lake Buena Vista Historical Society, the folks who put on Retro Magic. We're going to show some of that footage tonight that they lovingly, beautifully restored as part of Retro Magic 2023. Amazing, amazing footage. Lots of other people to thank. Werner Weiss, Jim Hill, so many people out there. Tonight's also yours. So we begin where we always begin. The pavilion, it wasn't quite sure what it wanted to be. And if you'll remember last week, we spent 8 minutes on the pavilion's origin story. Marty Sklar's, 1976 working group. This is the 1978 Midway of Life draft. The Antoni Gaudi body-shaped building that didn't get built, right? The MetLife sponsorship that took until 1988 to land. Now, if you missed the episode last week, and if you're watching this on replay, I'll ask you to pause this and come back. I'm not going to talk about the whole history of the pavilion again tonight. We're going to pick up one thread out of Midway of Life and follow it, because that's the thread that eventually becomes Cranium Command. Now, in 1978, the headlining show inside the head of the pavilion's body was sketched in a development binder. It was called Head Trip, and it was an audio animatronic show about the nervous system. The brain was anchored by anthropomorphized emotions and forces, and it was explaining how cognition worked. 3 figures: emotion, intellect, and the nervous system itself. These were all personified, conversing with each other. This idea was Rolly Crump's, and he drew the concept. It was never built. Now, by the mid-1980s, once Marty Sklar's working group had finally convinced MetLife to take the sponsorship, this show came off the shelf again, and it went to Steve Kirk and Barry Braverman. These were 2 senior Imagineers who reimagined the head as a starship bridge. They called the captain Cortex. They called the show the Cranium Command. Well, the 1987 Popular Mechanics preview ran a paragraph on it. Steve Kirk himself, in a 2008 WDW radio interview, said this: originally, there was a captain, a Mr. Spock type, several ensigns at each of the senses. There was an officer for reason. There was an officer for emotion. After value engineering, we got it down to 1 character and a robot, which is okay. Now, the lineage Kirk himself cites is worth pausing on and thinking about, because Disney's 1943 wartime short, which was called Reason and Emotion, was animated by Ward Kimball, one of the imaginative dreamer Imagineers of Walt's animation era. And it personifies the mental forces as kind of discrete characters inside a man and a woman's head. Now, Kimball had drawn this metaphor all the way back in 1943. Now, 29 years later, there was a movie by Woody Allen called Everything You Always Wanted to Know About Sex, and it gave us a control room with a little man running the body. By 1985, Steve Kirk is sketching the 3rd Disney variation of the same idea on a starship bridge for a pavilion that won't open for 4 more years. Now, this metaphor has been alive in Disney's DNA all the way since World War II. Now, Kirk knew. He named his sources. Now, keep in mind, the Steve Kirk version was designed to be restoryable. This bridge premise meant the show could be reprogrammed for example, digestion, or autoimmune response, or sleep. This brain bridge would have been a platform, new stories every few years on the same set. Well, the Imagineers wanted to make the same kind of show Pixar would eventually make in a different medium as a franchise. Unfortunately, they never got to. Well, the bridge gets value engineered down to 1 audio animatronic and 1 supporting officer. That's still on the shelf when MetLife finally signs. Version 2, late 1987 into 1988. Disney contracts Colossal Pictures in San Francisco to produce the show. Well, the animators on the project are Henry Selick, Vince Davis, George Evelyn, and a name worth remembering, Steve Moore. He'll end up the only animator who works on both versions. Unfortunately, Disney rejects what Colossal produces. More unfortunately, we don't have it. Almost nothing of what the Colossal version survives in public archives. The only person who can tell us anything about it is Steve Moore on his old Flip Animation blog. Some pieces of the story were lost the moment they were rejected, unfortunately. Version 3, May 1st, 1989, the cold open. Schneider walks up to Jerry Rees at the MGM party. The pavilion opens in 5 months. The show is in trouble. Can you take it? Now, why Rees? Well, he had directed a little movie called The Brave Little Toaster in 1987. This was a cult animated feature produced a Hyperion Pictures under Tom Wilhite. This was made by a cohort of young Disney animators, a few of whom, like John Lasseter, were on their way out the door to Pixar. He had also directed Back to Neverland at MGM Studios with Robin Williams and Walter Cronkite. He had built a track record of being handed weird premises and making them work really fast. Now, he was 33 years old, and he was a person you called when the building was on fire. Well, one of the people who called was Roy Disney. Roy Disney himself was on the conference calls about Cranium Command's rescue. Now, he wasn't a casual observer. He was an active participant. Schneider trusted Rees, and Roy trusted Schneider. Now, the toughest job in the building was handed to the youngest director Schneider trusted. Only 5 months. A new wife in her last month of pregnancy, a first child arriving in July, and a 200-seat theater that needed a show by October. Now, he said yes at the party. He started the next morning, 5 months, starting now. Now, the first thing Rees does is move his story team to Florida. He brings some people, Kirk Wise, Gary Trousdale, his own wife, Rebecca Rees, and a fourth storyman named Daryl Rooney. He puts them inside the MGM Studios animation tour building. Specifically, it's the glassed-in storyboarding workspace at the back end of the Back to Neverland section. Do you remember that, when you could actually look at glass and see actual animators in their studio? So picture it. Rees' own short, Robin Williams and Walter Cronkite, is playing in the theater on a loop every 20 minutes all day, and as tourists file through, the first thing they see through the glass is 4 people pinning storyboards to a wall. Now, they have no idea they're watching the birth of an Epcot attraction. Now, Rees, up on Retro Magic in 2023, said, "I took my story team with me to Florida and put them actually in the building where Back to Neverland played." So when you go see the film, and these are actual tourists, they're tourists at the time. So they're actually watching a storyboard, Cranium Command. They sat there in front of the public and did the storyboards for me. So I would run back and forth between that building and the stunt theater, and with Glenn Randall there, and work with them there. Now, this was a fishbowl, not a glass bowl that Rees sketched into the way the old story used to go. This was a glassed-in animation tour workspace. Tourists were watching the birth of an Epcot attraction without knowing it. And Rees ran between 2 rescue jobs, Cranium Command on one side of the lot, Indy Stunt Spectacular on the other, and he was working with Glenn Randall on the stunt coordination, and back across a lot to the fishbowl. This is a man who in 5 months will be both a father and the director of 2 attractions. Now, his wife, Rebecca, is actually one of the 4 people pinning storyboards on that wall. She's 8 months pregnant by now. She's helping build the show. The rookie father of the cold open is storyboarding a show about a kid's body with the mother of his own born first child standing next to him at the wall. Now, the Imagineering executive on the project, Sandy Braven, pushes back on one of the scenes in the show, the food fight. It was too ambitious, too expensive, and he wanted to cut it. Well, Jerry Rees fights for it. Rees wins. The food fight stays. The food fight itself gets shot at John Muir High School in Pasadena, California. There was practical food, real students as extras, giant props built for the stomach scenes. Jerry Rees' kids will play with the oversized M&Ms in their living room for years afterwards. Now, there's one fun fact. Rees' preferred trick when the script needed a quick set change was the principal's office. So the audience accepted that leap to the principal's office. It's a craft move, and it's a type of trick you learn from running short form animation under deadline. And then here's the thing. The pre-show gets forgotten. I'll let Jim Hill say this one. Verbatim, 2004 from jimhillmedia.com. Walt Disney Imagineering got so wrapped up with trying to get Cranium Command's main theater show just right, they forgot about putting together a film for the pre-show area until it was almost too late. The whole pre-show, the 4-minute film that runs in the queue, the piece of media that sets up the entire premise of the attraction for the audience before they even walk into the theater. The thing without which Cranium Command's whole story just doesn't work. They forgot to make it. Well, this assignment bounces from desk to desk inside Walt Disney Feature Animation. Rob Minkoff, who will later direct The Lion King, gets it first. He leaves for a Roger Rabbit short. This assignment keeps moving, and it lands on Kirk Weiss and Gary Trousdale. Now, these are two glorified storymen whose most recent assignment was a Roger Rabbit short idea, had just been rejected. The toughest job in the building, again, handed to the youngest people willing to take it. 4 minutes of pre-show film. No money, no time. Two storymen who had never directed anything. Their solution was a mix of traditional cell animation and paper cutouts. This was cheap, fast, surprising. Now, the visual vocabulary, if you may remember it, and I'll play it for you in a bit, is Terry Gilliam's Monty Python animations transposed into a Disney corporate training film. And that's not me reaching for a comparison. Steve Moore, who was the animator that Rees hired to do the supporting monitor inserts inside the theater, called his own work cut out Monty Python style animation in print. While the pre-show is doing the same thing at 4-minute length, Gilliam's technique is probably the cheapest way to make animation move. And Weiss and Trousdale used it because they had a few weeks and a corner of the animation building. So they wrote a premise. The Cranium Commando Academy, a military training school for the cerebral pilots of all the bodies in the world, and they animated it in their corner of the animation building in a few weeks. Now, this pre-show frames the entire attraction. It introduces general knowledge, the general who runs the academy, and assigns bodies to pilots. Pilots to bodies. And it tells a story that Buzzy is being assigned the toughest possible body, a 12-year-old named Bobby. They turned it in. The pavilion opened. Wonders of Life launched on October 19th, 1989. The Cranium Command pre-show ran in this queue, and the audience laughed at the right places. Disney executives started talking about how that 4-minute paper cutout pre-show was in some senses more entertaining than the 18-minute headlining attraction it was supposed to set up. So the pavilion opens. Let's go inside. You walk up the ramp on the floor of the Wonders of Life pavilion. Now, this queue is military propaganda, World War I and World War II recruitment posters, reframed for the brain. Now recruiting, I want you, use your head, don't miss a show that's on everyone's mind. These are brain teasers framed on the wall. Well, the Academy is hiring. And you enter the small pre-show holding area. A 4-minute film plays, and I'm going to play for you right now.
I hear this new CO they sent over from HQ is a real featherweight.
He's probably some desk jockey. Never been up in a brain in his life.
All right, you pitiful sub-billet sad sacks, eyes front and listen up. I'm your commanding officer, General Knowledge, and it's my job to turn you mealy-mouthed meatheads into a crack squadron of Cranium Commandos. Your job, if you can cut it, will be to run the most sophisticated information system ever devised, the human brain. You, there in the back, suck in that gun and wipe that smile off your face. The brain is serious business. Now listen up, you miserable toads. This is your brain. You will eat with it, sleep with it. You will never leave it. Without you, the brain is nothing. Without your brain, you are nothing. It took 3 billion years of research and development to make this lean, mean thinking machine what it is today. In those years, we've had some successes and some failures. And if you meatballs can't fly right, you'll wind up piloting one of these. Do I make myself clear? Yes, sir. I can't hear you. Yes, sir. Better. Our brain is divided into 2 halves, the right and the left.
Excuse me, sorry.
You!
Me, sir?
No, your mama. Yes, you. Get up here on the double. Move it.
What's your name, recruit?
Buzzy, sir.
You think you're ready to pilot a brain, Buzzy?
That's Buzzy, sir. Oh, yes, you just let me in my control
Do
panel.
you know that the brain can process up to 3 million bytes of information per second?
Why, you, sir?
I don't think you've got the spoiled on a dim bulb, freaky. I don't think you understand the amount of concentration and commitment it takes to run this lovely unit. Just look at you! You're a disgrace! Does your mother still dress you, boy?
Well, yes, sir.
Don't talk when I'm shouting! Drop and give me 20!
Sir! Yes, sir!
Where was I? Oh, yes. The brain is divided into two halves. Your left brain handles the linear thinking, analysis, logic. The right brain is the creative center, home of the emotions and imagination. From the command seat here in the cortex, you'll run the whole shebang. Any questions? No? Good. All right, you chickens, this is it. Let's scramble on the double. Move it. All right, move it. What now, Scuzzy? Taking a nap? Get your fanny in gear and hustle.
Sir! Yes, sir!
Little men, hungry side of cranium. We're the ones that make you go. Cranium commander.
Little women and little men!
Think it, you lead-foot. If you moved any slower, you'd be going backwards. Putting you in a chicken is cruelty to animals. I'm gonna stick you in a squish, a lumpy, a talk show host. Now get in line. Move it, move it, move it. What? Here's your assignment, so listen up. Cito!
Sir!
You do a rocket scientist. Ha! Cito, if your brains were dynamite, you couldn't blow your nose. Take off!
Sir, thank you, sir!
Trousdale, can you walk and chew gum at the same time? Never tried, sir! I'd like to know how HQ picked you for this job, Trousdale, with a dartboard. That's your NFL All-Pro running back over there. Now get out of my sight. Sir, thank you, sir!
General knowledge, sir? You didn't give me an assignment yet, sir.
Oh, no, this has got to be a sick joke. So, Goldthwait, you want to pilot a brain, huh?
Yes, sir!
Hold on! Hey! Well, some genius at HQ has picked you to pilot the most unstable craft in the fleet.
You don't mean...
You guessed it, Stinky. An adolescent boy. This particular model is 12 years old. Very unpredictable.
Don't worry, sir! I can Don't worry, sir, I can handle it.
You couldn't find your head with both hands and a flashlight. Sweet yonder, where do they get these knuckleheads? And why do they always wind up in my outfit?
Roger, 12-year-old, all clear for takeoff until the 19er Tango. Clear over.
Hey, you gold bricks, this ain't a spectator sport. Where do you think you are, Disney World? Get your strollers in line and hustle on the double. Move it, move it, move it.
Such great animation. And it's hard to believe that this almost was forgotten about and they were able to whip this together, huh? So I saw lots of great comments. I totally agree with them. Good stuff all told. So you heard General Knowledge. He was voiced by Corey Burton, and he bellowed at the cadets. He runs down the stakes. The human brain, the most sophisticated information system ever devised. 3 billion years, some successes, some failures. You heard Albert Einstein appears as one of the successes. Pilot at the top of his form, right? And then the failures. Ernest P. Worrell, Jim Varney's lovable doofus. He appears on screen as a punchline. And the threat for cadets who can't cut it, demotion. General Knowledge spells that out. Putting you into chicken is cruelty to animals. I'm going to stick you in a squid, a lunch, and talk show host. We'll come back to that thread later. But he told Buzzy, screw up this mission and you'll be piloting a chicken till you're retiring. Some geniuses at HQ has picked you to pilot the most unstable craft in the fleet. This particular model is 12 years old, very unpredictable. So the pre-show ends, the doors open, and the audience walks into the 200-seat theater. Now, this room is designed as the inside of a human head. 200 seats, dimly lit, ceiling was curved, the walls organic. At the front of the theater, there was a control podium. And on the podium, in a small flight jacket and a flight cap, was Buzzy himself. A full upper body, audio animatronic figure, articulated, expressive, all with hands that move and a face that emotes. Now, 2 screens, as you see here, took the place of Bobby's eyes. They're rear projection, and they show what Bobby is seeing. Around the theater on individual screens are the different body system officers, the heart, the stomach, the adrenal gland, the bladder, the lungs, the hypothalamus, the left and right brain, and each one will appear on its own screen when called upon. Now, here's a key design decision. Each body system officer is a live-action actor in an absurd set, not an animated character. Left brain sits inside a black and white grid that looks like the interior of a Rubik's Cube. Right brain is somewhere a great deal more colorful. The heart's in the boiler room. The stomach's in a dripping cave. Production designer Bill Matthews built the sets, and the visual vocabulary in Rees' own words from Retromagic 2023 was, I just thought it would be so fun to do sort of a Terry Gilliam thing and just go crazy with nutsy sort of interior body sets and stuff like that. So instead of animated Charles Grodin type, we actually got Charles Grodin. Buzzy is voiced by Scott Curtis, a 20-something at the time of recording, and he also voices Bobby, the 12-year-old being piloted. One actor, both ends of the show. Buzzy is a rookie pilot inside, and Bobby is a rookie pilot, or the rookie body outside. Scott Curtis is kind of both rookies. So you sit down, the lights dim, and Buzzy boots up.
Gee, it sure is dark in here. There's gotta be a light around here somewhere. Ah, this ought to do it. Whoa!
All right, Pinhead, listen up. Your job is to pilot this craft through a typical day's maneuvers without overstressing it. Remember, use your head, don't lose your head. I've got my eye on you, Fuzzy. Screw up this mission and you'll be piloting a chicken till your retirement day. Got that?
Yes, sir. Guess I better get this show on the road. Okay, crew, report in. Left brain, right brain. Come in, please.
Yes, Captain. Did you call?
No. I guess I just pressed the wrong button.
It figures. No one ever wants to talk to me.
Who are you, anyway?
I'm only the hypothalamus. I only monitor all the automatic functions of the body. All the things you don't need to worry about. I'm used to being taken for granted. Blink, blink, breathe, breathe. Day in, day out. Never a thank you, never a job well done.
Gee, I'm sorry. I had no idea. Hey, wait a minute. What are all these things?
Dreams, sir. You're in the sleep mode. You should have had this in class.
This looks pretty simple. Whoa, what's going on? What's happening? Whoa, oh, the alarm clock. It's 5 o'clock. Arms, hands, hit it! Well, I guess we're awake now, huh? Good morning, guys.
Morning, Captain. Left brain reporting for duty, sir. Logic circuits working at full capacity. Let's have a safe and sane day, shall we?
Roger, left brain.
Right brain here, Buzz. Free association and creativity banks fully charged.
Roger, dude.
Hard reporting, Captain. Left ventricle.
Right ventricle.
We are off and pumping.
Adrenal glands reporting, Captain. Ready to freak out at any second.
Not now, please.
Stomach reporting, Captain. Running on empty down here. Suppose we could toss down some of those cold pizza crusts from last night. Keep us, a little...
Mommy, aren't you up yet? The bus will be here any second.
Okay, Mom, I'm up. Okay, guys, we're running a little late. Legs, swing over 45 degrees and extend peds. Head for the door, walk factor 10.
Going to school stark naked, are we? Please.
Whoa, quick, let's find some clothes. There's gotta be something in here. Oh, good pants. Shirt's still okay. It's only been worn a couple days. Shoes. All right, we're out of here.
Aren't we forgetting some functions?
Illumination. Give me a reading.
Bladder reading at 9.9, sir.
We can hold it. Full speed ahead.
No.
I can see you're going to put us all under a bit of a strain today.
Captain, I know we're in a hurry, but this puppy's starting to growl down here, you know what I mean?
I hear you, stomach. Looks like we got breakfast dead ahead. Let's chow down.
Buzz, let's go for the dessert.
Hey, Smarty Pants. The bus is here.
Could have swore I heard something about breakfast.
Run!
Whoa, Bobby, what you want?
Hey, kid, get off my...
It's getting away! Quick, take a shortcut!
Planning an alternate route to school, sir. Memory indicates the presence of a small rabbit poodle.
Whoa! Watch out! Back up!
Boy, dang it! Stop on it! Stop on it!
Quick, cut through here!
Hot reporting, Captain. We are pumping.
Yeah, but we are running low on energy.
What are you going to do about it?
Stomach, we need fuel! Do you read?
No can do, Captain. Remember that breakfast we didn't have?
Blood sugar is falling.
You have exactly 2 seconds to get to class.
Cut to the right! Turn! Oh,
Okay, my little monsters. Let's create.
Excuse me. Looks like we're gonna be lab partners.
Yes! Hot reporting, Captain. We have just skipped a beat.
Yeah, what is going on up there?
She's beautiful.
I'm new here. My name's Annie. What's yours?
Say something. Beautiful. I mean, Bobby.
Flush factor 6.5, Captain.
Okay, Bobby. I'll measure, you mix.
Careful. Careful. Some of these compounds are not entirely stable.
I feel like an unstable compound whenever we look at her. This must be chemistry.
Concentrate. This could be dangerous.
Just imagine.
Make my wish come true.
Bobby, watch out! Whoa! Get out of there!
See? You put us in an explosive situation.
I've never had to work this hard in my life.
Yeah, what a loser captain we have.
Yeah, you're a pathetic girly man.
You're a girly man, loser, and pathetic.
Say there, Captain, I'd be willing to call it even if we could just toss a little bit of food in the old dumpster. What do you say?
Okay, Stomach, this time we'll eat. I promise. Wow, look, there she is.
Oh, hi.
Hey, look, Tad, it's the new girl. That she needs some company, huh, Rico?
Come on, you guys.
We gotta help her.
We'll rescue her. We'll swing it on a vine, take her to a desert island.
Nonsense. We'll simply explain to these ruffians the lasting negative ramifications of their delinquent behavioral tendencies.
Okay, you take the helm, Left Brain.
All right, Bobby, address them.
Come now, gentlemen. I'm sure I needn't point out the negative impact of both social and academic dimensions of your Neanderthal tactics. I should point out that this will be taught very poorly in your citizenship record, and you'll undoubtedly lose studying at the college of your choice.
Captain, you've got to give me a chance for revenge.
Okay, Red Brain, go!
We're having speed! Food fight!
I suppose you'll be wanting reflex dodge maneuvers, sensors on hypervigilance, and endorphin pain suppressors on maximum.
Hey, Buzz! As long as you're tossing all that food around, why don't you toss some down here, eh?
All right, Stomach, here you go. A burger with everything on it.
Hallelujah! God of the tender!
Watch it! Milk Carton's launching 4D!
It's whole milk too! These guys are serious!
Who took a bite out of there?
Reload!
Incoming lasagna, 5 o'clock! Die! Going down!
What the devil is going on, Flunky? Your job is to protect this body from unnecessary stress, not send it into a coma!
Well, the Left Brain wanted, but then the adrenal gland said, and
You can't just listen to every fool thing that comes into your head! That's why there's chaos in this body! Make decisions! Get this crew working together! You're just begging to pilot this chicken, aren't you, boy?
Yes, sir. I mean, no, sir.
I'm warning you, Skunky!
Jeez, I've got to get my act together here. Okay, I'll do better. I'll use my head. He'll be proud of me. All right. Hands, wipe the eyes, please.
Well, young man, perhaps a trip to the principal's office will straighten you out.
Lose audio, I get the idea.
We're gonna get the soap mines, I tell ya! The pen, the big house, maybe even prison!
6 weeks detention. Out.
6 weeks? Oh no! It'll be eternity.
How about a last meal? It's kind of traditional.
Right. And what's your side of it?
Stall for time. Shuffle feet. Ring hands.
We'll probably be put on suspension for this. We can kiss Harvard goodbye. No job, no upwardly mobile lifestyle. I hope you're proud of yourself, young man. You obviously have no need for logic whatsoever. Thank you so much, and good night.
Lungs reporting, sir! We're hyperventilating! Batten down the bronchial tube!
I recommend a brown paper bag.
CO2 is dropping fast.
Oh, I'm feeling really lightheaded, man.
Listen to us now and believe us later. If we were 30 years older, we'd be attacking you right now.
Yeah, if we live that long.
Sorry, Captain. We can't take much more of this. I'm gonna have to send some back up.
No, don't! Seal all exit! Seal all exit!
What in blazes are you up to now?
I might as well say goodbye now, sir. They're gonna burn us at the stake and send our ashes to Siberia.
Nonsense, Pinky. You're just worrying yourself sick. Real stress or imagined stress, it doesn't matter beans to your body crew. They can't tell the difference. Only you can. Take charge, lunkhead. Be calm, cool, collected, serene, balanced, centered, and relaxed, like me.
Look, guys, this isn't the end of the world, okay? Now let's cooperate for once. Left brain,
Yes, sir?
give me the bottom line.
Logical.
Right brain,
Do what you really feel.
I've got a solution that covers both. We're going to tell the truth. I'm sorry, Mr. Hardcase. When I saw those guys bugging Annie, I guess I just lost my head.
I think we can be a little lenient here. Why don't you just help the janitor clean up the cafeteria after school?
Really? Boy, thank you, sir. Thanks a lot.
Well done, Buzzy. Wonderfully logical.
You felt the moment. It was beautiful.
Yeah, we're starting to get the hang of it now. Well, with a little teamwork, we'll become invincible.
Warning, warning, we've been tapped on the shoulder. Warning, warning.
It's the goons!
Adrenaline, would you chill out? You're getting everybody all worked up. Just keep cool, guys, and stand by for instructions. Come full about.
Hi, Bobby. Look, I just wanted to thank you for helping me out with those guys who were hassling me.
No sweat. No sweat.
They were, like, pretty neat.
He likes us.
Captain, we are having a sudden burst of energy.
Yeah, we are feeling young at heart. Hey, who ordered the butterflies?
Man, she's cute. Just look at the way her eyes glisten in that fluorescent tube lighting.
Well, let's not start daydreaming again. Let's do something constructive.
Tell you what, we'll ask her out.
Bold move, sir.
Maybe we could go out sometime after school, like maybe to the mall or something.
Okay, that'd be great. Thanks again, Bobby.
Outstanding, recruit! Look after your body crew and they'll serve you well. Congratulations! You are now a full-fledged member of the Cranium Command. I'm proud of you, boy!
Thanks, General. I never could have done it without everyone's help. This is one first-rate crew.
No need to thank me, sir. I don't do it for the glory. It's just my function.
Well, chicken, what are we going to do about a pilot for you?
I won't need one. I'm going into politics.
In politics. So long, Buzzy. Keep up the good work.
Let's hear it for Captain Buzzy! Hip hip hooray!
So remember, gang, if you get stressed out, just call in your general knowledge. Balance your body crew and get your cranium under command. Use your head, don't lose your head. It's easy. You'll be flying in no time. As a member of the Cranium Command. Bye!
What do you say about that? Just sheer brilliance. Just, chef's kiss all the way around. I was enjoying all the chat comments while watching that. And I know I took myself off the screen, but I was just grinning giddily while watching that again, even though I watched it 5 times this week. Just an amazing show. And can I just take my hat off to the Lake Buena Vista Historical Society? They have restored this attraction in a way that's just gorgeous. Each of the screens was lovingly recreated. I'm just so grateful for those guys. And if you feel the same way I do, please throw them a few bucks if you can. We have a robot putting a link into the chat from time to time. They do great work. And without people like them, attractions need to be memorialized in this way so that we can all enjoy them later on. So I'm going to walk through this cast slowly enough that you can register each face. Now, you've recognized many of them already. The casting in 1989 was probably one of the most stacked half-hour ensembles in Disney attraction history. Now, Disney didn't just write a press release about it. They just did it. Charles Grodin, left brain, logic, structure, anxious organization. He's the dry, slightly worried voice in Bobby's head. Midnight Run is a year old. Beethoven is 3 years away. And Grodin is in the middle of one of the most surprising character actor careers of the 1980s. And Disney handed him the brain hemisphere responsible for keeping a 12-year-old from setting himself on fire. Jon Lovitz, right brain, wacky, creative, chaotic. Now he's in his prime Saturday Night Live years. Tommy Flanagan, the pathological liar, master thespian, the devil. Disney cast him as the side of Bobby's brain that when Bobby first sees Annie across the chemistry lab, leaps in with, just look at the way her eyes glisten in that fluorescent tube lighting. That line is pure Jon Lovitz. And that line works because it's Jon Lovitz. This whole episode pivots on Right Brain making things weird at just the worst possible moments. Now you cast Jon Lovitz because Jon Lovitz is what that whole joke is. George Wendt, Stomach. Norm from Cheers. The Man on the Bar Stool. Now Cheers is in its 7th season the year Cranium Command opens. Disney cast Norm Peterson as Bobby's stomach because, well, of course they did. Bobcat Goldthwait, the adrenal gland, the overreacting one, the voice that every time something happens to Bobby, whether it's a bully, fire, kiss, food fight, shows up screaming. Now he's Police Academy. He's Scrooged. His shtick is, I am being completely undone by minor stimulus. Disney cast him as a body system that is that shtick. Jeff Doucette, bladder, elimination. He's uncredited in the original release. Kevin Meaney, lungs, uncredited. Kirk Wise, hypothalamus, uncredited. Now, the co-director of the pre-show snuck himself into the main show in a voice role, despite a written no crew voicing rule. He was a hypothalamus, and he set the rule for the next 20 years that the director can get a cameo. Scott Curtis, Buzzy and Bobby, we already met him. And, of course, the Heart. Who voices the Heart? Dana Carvey and Kevin Nealon, Hans and Franz from Saturday Night Live as Bobby's heart. And that's a trivia answer. The right ventricle and the left ventricle of the heart in Cranium Command, voiced by Dana Carvey and Kevin Nealon. Of course, reprising their Pumping You Up characters in full Austrian bodybuilder voice on screen at Epcot in 1989. The two men whose entire Eschnell stick was, we're here to pump you up, pumping Bobby's heart. This is a casting equivalent of a Broadway show getting the original Hamilton cast together for an Easter egg. They just slipped it into a pavilion attraction at Epcot. Now, Disney didn't put it on the marketing. There's no press release that says Hans and Franz are on our brain show. Disney built the joke and played the joke and walked away. Well, Jerry Rees kept Dana Carvey's foam muscle Han suit after the shoot, and he wore it as a Halloween costume nearly every year afterwards. And that's the cast. That's what you walked into the theater for. 8 major working comedians and a 22-year-old voice actor doing double duty. The Imagineers wrote a 17-minute attraction script and cast it the way you would cast a feature film. Now, as you saw in the film, Buzzy boots up the body systems and pilots Bobby through a morning of small disasters, a missed bus, dessert for breakfast, a sprint to school. By chemistry class, he's at his lab table looking up at Annie, played by Natalie Gregory. Now, she's a live-action child actress who had played Alice in NBC's 1985 Alice in Wonderland. Right brain, Lovitz, sees a fluorescent tube glisten in her eyes, and left brain, Grodin panics. And then the cafeteria. The food fight, Sandy Braven tried to cut. Foreign objects fly into Bobby's mouth. Stomach loses his mind. Adrenal is screaming. Lungs hyperventilating. The whole crew is in chaos. Cut to the office, principal's office. Principal Hardcase, played by Kenneth Kimmons. Buzzy consults general knowledge through the comm and the body crew through the system. He tells the principal the truth diplomatically, and he gets away with it, janitor duty. Annie thanks him and asks him out. Buzzy earns general knowledge's grudging approval, and he's a full-fledged Cranium commando. Lights come up in the 200-seat theater, and that's a show. And it worked. From day one, it worked. Critics loved it. Jeffrey Katzenberg loved it. The audience loved it. 18 years of audiences loved it. And there's one more reader of Cranium Command we have not yet met yet. There's one person in a book that none of the people who made it had read yet, was about to love it in a way that took everybody by surprise. Now, before that, there's a set piece in the stomach scene I've got to talk about. When the food fight ends and the lunch begins to digest, the camera dives into Bobby's stomach, as you saw. We saw the stomach and basically a kind of a chaos set. You see, and this is a part that everybody remembers, there was actual acid and fluid rising up in the stomach, slowly like a tide coming in. Now you watch this level rise and you start to feel a little bit sick, and you understand the geometry of digestion in a way that you probably never understood it before. And here's how they did it. On the stage at Retro Magic 2023, Jerry Rees says the entire stomach set was suspended above a tank of water. Now, the set hung. Underneath it was a tank. The camera was locked to the set. So to create the rising acid, they didn't pump liquid up the walls. They lowered the whole set down into the tank while filming. So the walls passed through the surface of the water from below. From the camera's perspective, this liquid appeared to rise. From a real camera in real space, the whole room just sank. There was no pumping, no compositing, no optical printing, just a set on a hoist, a tank of water, lock camera, and the audience's eye doing the rest. And this is how he prototyped it. He took a small clay model of the stomach set and a kitchen bucket. He filled the bucket with water. He lowered the clay model into the bucket while watching it through the lens. He watched the water line rise on the model, and he tested the effect at 3 inches square before they built it at 30 feet. Now, think about that. The most ambitious physical effect in the show was figured out with $3 of clay and a kitchen bucket. That is a kind of cleverness that this show is completely built on. Now, in 1989, a 21-year-old kid named Pete Docter got his first job at Disney. He was assigned to the Cranium Command pre-show, the 4-minute paper cutout animation film that you saw in the beginning. His job, among others, was the background heads of the cadets. The Cranium Commando trainees standing in formation in front of general knowledge in the opening scene. Dozens of background figures, cheap, repetitive, easily ignored animation work. This is the kind of job that a 21-year-old gets in his first weeks at Disney. And this is what Pete Docter did. He Xeroxed photos of the actual production crew, and he drew the cadets' heads over them. The background trainees in the Cranium Commando Academy are actually the crew of Cranium Command. Weiss's face is in there. Trousdale's face is in there. You see them here. The inkers, the cleanup artists, the storymen, they're all in the audience as cadets, of the cadets in the pre-show that they made together. Pete Docter himself is in there somewhere. And if you knew the faces, you would recognize them. The team is literally inside the show, hidden in plain sight. Now, this was Pete Docter's first job at Disney. His face is somewhere in the pre-show. 26 years later, he will direct Inside Out, the Pixar film about personified emotions running a child's mind. Now, in multiple interviews, for example, Oh My Disney's inspirations behind Inside Out, Docter has acknowledged the resemblance on the record. Now, he's very careful with it. He has said Inside Out moved deliberately away from a control room into pure emotion. They're not quite the same movie. They're cousins. And the kinship comes back to Disney via the rookie, whose first assignment was hiding crew photos in the background of the Cranium Command pre-show. Now, Inside Out is a kind of story that Steve Kirk wanted to tell in 1985 and never got to. The reskinnable platform, remember that, for stories inside a head? Well, Cranium Command made the version it could. Inside Out, 26 years later, made the version it couldn't. Now, Buzzy. Buzzy himself is the largest technical risk on the whole show. 17-minute audio animatronic performance that had to nail comic timing on every cycle, all day, every day for 18 years. Now, animatronics in 1989 are not what they are now. The programming is done frame by frame. Every gesture, every blink, every shift of weight is hand-keyed and locked. Buzzy is operated and programmed by Doug Griffith and Dave Feighton. And they programmed Buzzy to act, not to point at things the way the Country Bears point at things, to act. The way an actor on stage acts, with pauses, with timing, with reactions to the body systems on the screens around him. Now, years later, Buzzy starts to lose some of his snappiness. Of course, repeated cycling wears down servos. Replacement parts are slightly off. Buzzy's pauses get a quarter second too long. His double takes droop. The Imagineering team, responsible for the refurb, has a problem. There's no master copy of Buzzy's original intended performance, or they think there isn't. Then a man named Jay Height, who had been in the booth during the original 1989 programming session, mentions that he had set up a tripod-mounted video camera during programming, just for himself, as a personal record. The tape was at his house. So that tripod video, one man's personal recording, never officially logged, never archived, is now the only complete record of Buzzy's intended performance. The refurb team uses it as a master reference. Buzzy's snappiness is restored from the personal videotape of an Imagineer who happened to set up a camera. The same Jay Height separately pulled an all-nighter once to patch a hydraulic oil leak in Buzzy's actuator system. The show went up the same morning on time. Those are the people who built this show. There's not a single department that phoned it in. Cranium Command opened, and it worked. Now what? October 19th, 1989, the pavilion opens to the public. Body Wars, of course, takes the headline. Cranium Command opens in its 200-seat theater with its full upper body audio animatronic Buzzy on his podium and Hans and Franz pumping the patient's heart. The audience absolutely loves it. The lines are long. Cranium Command gets a kind of critical reception that in 1989 told Disney they had really built something. Now, shortly after the opening, Jerry Rees' phone rings. It's this man, Roy Disney, Roy himself. Not through a secretary, the nephew of Walt Disney, the man whose 1984 boardroom move had installed Eisner in the first place, the man who 5 years earlier had walked off the Disney board and then walked back to save the company, calling a 33-year-old attraction director at home to thank him personally. Roy didn't usually make those calls, but he made this one. The trusted young director that Schneider had handed the toughest job in the building, the first-time father, the man who said yes to 2 rescues on the same night. He had pulled it off, and the call came from the top. Now, this show ran for most of the 1990s. Cranium Command was the reason that regulars at Epcot made a point at going to Wonders of Life. Now, Body Wars didn't have the legs. We talked about that last week. But Cranium Command kept drawing the regulars. Hans and Franz casting gradually became a kind of a small connoisseur's pleasure that fans started to whisper about. This show was loved quietly the whole way through. June 2001, MetLife pulls out of the pavilion. We covered this last week. The Gold Dome lost its sponsor. Cranium Command kept running. Same building, same calendar. January 2004, Wonders of Life goes seasonal. Open only during peak periods, festival overflow. Finally, January 2007, New Year's Day. The pavilion's final operating block ends. Cranium Command runs for the last time, and the doors stay closed. Now, there's no farewell event. There's no cast member memorial. There's no public announcement. The Sunday before New Year's, the last 200 guests sit in the theater. Buzzy delivers his last show, and the lights come back up. They walk out, the doors close behind them, and nobody at Disney marks the moment. 2007 to 2018, the pavilion becomes the festival center. Food and wine, flower and garden, festival of the arts. Tablecloths and seasonal kiosks under the dome, and the rides go dark. Body Wars is gutted for Star Tours parts, and Cranium Command's pre-show film goes into storage. Disney never released it on high definition. For years, the only version online was a 240p VHS rip that someone had made off a tour video. The 4-minute paper cutout and cell animation film that became their audition tape for the Disney Renaissance did not exist in archival quality in any official form until Lake Buena Vista Historical Society lovingly restored the show and put it back online where audiences can watch it again like we did tonight. But Buzzy, what do we say about Buzzy? The 200 seats are still in the theater, still bolted to the floor. The lights are off. The doors are locked. Cranium Command is still inside the Gold Dome intact. All of it just dark. For 11 years, Cranium Command is inside a closed pavilion the way a fossil sits inside a rock. And then, somewhere between August 1st and August 8th, 2018, somebody walked into the closed Wonders of Life pavilion. They knew Buzzy was in there. Somebody walked out with a piece of him. Later, someone came for the rest. We'll get to all of that. But first, October 1989, the press preview. Jeffrey Katzenberg watches the Cranium Command pre-show, the 4-minute paper cutout and cell animation film that was stitched together at the last minute. Katzenberg's reaction is on the record. He thought the pre-show was, in his words, more entertaining than the attraction itself. Shortly after the preview, the phone rings in Weiss and Trousdale's WDFA office. Charles Fink, pictured here, Vice President of Creative Affairs at Walt Disney Pictures. The exchange, as Trousdale has told it, Fink said, "Can you be on the plane Wednesday?" Trousdale said, "Okay, why?" Fink said, "Because Jeffrey Katzenberg wants to give you guys a shot at directing Beauty and the Beast." Trousdale started looking around the room for a hidden camera, convinced he was being pranked. He wasn't. The 4-minute paper cutout pre-show in the Wonders of Life Pavilion lobby became an audition tape for one of the most defining films of the Disney Renaissance. Now, Wise and Trousdale went on to direct Beauty and the Beast in 1991, the first animated feature ever nominated for the Best Picture Oscar. They directed The Hunchback of Notre Dame in 1996. They directed Atlantis, The Lost Empire in 2001. These two story men who had been handed the toughest job in the building because nobody else would take it, got pulled into the Renaissance because Jeffrey Katzenberg watched their 4-minute pre-show and made a phone call. And that happened in the upstairs office of a pavilion the public would forget by 2007. Careers are one kind of inheritance. Now there's another kind. There's one more reader of Cranium Command we have not yet met. In 1995, 6 years after this show opens, there's a man. He wrote a book about the sorry state of American science education. He'll die 2 years later. And he's one of the most recognizable scientific communicators of the 20th century. I'm not going to say his name yet. Now, in one of the chapters of his book, he steps back from his diagnosis of what is wrong with American science teaching, and he lists what he thinks could be right. He gives a reader 7 anonymous vignettes, 7 experiences that gave him hope. He doesn't name any of them. He just describes them, one after another. And he's asking the reader to recognize the types of experiences he's naming, not the brand. I'm going to read you the 6th one. I want you to listen to it. Seated in the theater, you find yourself inside the head of an 11-year-old boy. You look out through his eyes. You encounter his typical daily crises. Bullies, authoritarian adults, crushes on girls. You hear the voice inside his head. You witness his neurological and hormonal responses to his social environment. And you get to wonder how you work on the inside. That's exactly our show. Carl Sagan wrote that. The book is called The Demon Haunted World, Science as a Candle in the Dark. And the chapter is called House on Fire. Now, in the same chapter later on, by name, he goes on to discuss the American Museum of Natural History's dioramas, IMAX, Omnimax, the Science Center in New York, institutions, in his words, that strike the spark, awaken slumbering curiosities, and ignite the scientist that lives in all of us. Now, he didn't name the show. He described it anonymously, alongside dioramas and the planetariums and the science centers. He grouped a Disney theme park attraction with the great American institutions of public science education, and he asked the reader to recognize it without telling them what it was. Well, Carl Sagan thought Cranium Command belonged alongside the experiences that gave him reason not to despair about science education. He thought a Disney theme park attraction was a candle in the dark. Now, he didn't know the directors of the pre-show had just made Beauty and the Beast. He didn't know the rookie animator was hiding crew photos in the background, was about to make Inside Out. He just knew what he had seen, and he wrote it down. Well, Jerry Rees found out from his mother. She called him and said, "Your show's in Carl Sagan's latest book." He didn't believe her. He went and looked it up. And he said this at Retro Magic. He said, "That's the best review we'll ever get in our whole life." The rookie pilot, the toughest body in the fleet, in a book about saving science. A man who made a show about understanding a child from the inside, while the mother of his unborn first child stood at the storyboard wall next to him, 8 months pregnant, helping him build it. And somewhere out there, a boy gets cited as a reason for hope. The kid that Jerry Rees was making the show about was the kid who was about to arrive in his own house. The 33-year-old who had just said yes to 2 rescues and a baby on the same May night in 1989 was building a show that 6 years later, the most important science writer of the century would point at as a reason not to despair. And that happened. Now, Sagan was 8 years old when he was taken to the dioramas at the American Museum of Natural History. They changed his life. They are the reason he became an astronomer. Now imagine Cranium Command did that for somebody. Then imagine it did that for a lot of somebodies. That is what Sagan was writing about. Not a Disney attraction, but a doorway, a way in. Now, we've got to talk about our ratings, of course. We talk about immersion first. Now, the 200-seat theater designed as the inside of a head, the propaganda poster queue with World War recruitment posters, The pre-show that drafts you into the Academy. There's Buzzy on his articulated podium, eye to eye with the audience, doing 17 minutes of comic acting with kind of the comic timing of a person, not a machine. Rear projection screens where the eyes would be, the 200 strangers in the theater becoming, for a moment, a cohort of recruits. Now, the show never quite tipped you over into forgetting that you were in a theater, of course. The screens are screens, the seats were seats. It was a film and a robot, not a place, but every choice that the Imagineers made was reaching towards the body, and most of those choices ended up landing. I give it an 8. The storytelling side, the premise alone, gosh, a rookie pilot inside a 12-year-old's head on the worst possible day. Personified body systems, a 1989 Disney casting equivalent of a Broadway show, getting the Hamilton cast. Grodin, Lovitz, Wendt, Goldthwait, Carvey, Nealon, even Kirk Wise sneaking himself in. Jenny Tripp's grip, Jerry Rees' direction, the food fight that was tried to be cut, the principal's office that ties the school day together, the closing arc, Buzzy earning general knowledge's grudging approval, the Sagan endorsement. Now, this conviction, as you saw, runs through every single layer. The story knew what it was doing on the page, and the execution knew what it was doing in the theater. Not a single department phoned this in, so I give it a 9. On Delight, what do you say about Delight? It was totally loved. For 18 years, critics loved it. Katzenberg loved it. Roy Disney called Jerry Rees to thank him personally. Carl Sagan loved it. The audience loved it long enough for the Hans and Franz casting to become a small secret that fans whispered about across decades. The Xerox crew photos, the bucket, Hans and Franz reveal you didn't know was coming, the pre-show, the snappiness, the closing arc. This was a show that people came back to. This is a show people remembered for years, because the way you remember a thing you love is by carrying the shape of it around you while the details soften around you. So I give it a 9 as well. So 8 for immersion, 9 for storytelling, 9 for delight. That's a damn good score. And I think you'll agree with me. Now, last week in the same Gold Dome, we walked the largest gap that storytelling and delight the show has ever produced. Body Wars was a 7, 9, and 3. Tonight in the same dome, same MetLife, same closure date, same era, same designers, a different ride got everything right. 8, 9, and 9. These Imagineers were Imagineers. The decade was the same decade. The audience's body was the same. The difference is what the audience's body was asked to do. Cranium Command asked the audience to sit in a chair, watch a kid have a bad day, and laugh. That's all the audience ever wanted. But there's one story we haven't told yet, and that's the part where the show ends. Now, sometime between August 1st and August 8th, 2018, somebody entered the backstage area of the closed Wonders of Life Pavilion. They took Buzzy's bomber jacket. They took his flight cap. They took his rubber molded hands. And they didn't take Buzzy, not yet. The Orange County Sheriff's Office filed an incident report on August 8th. John Gregory of Orlando Rising pulled it through a public records request and published it on December 2018 after a viral tweet 6 days earlier had claimed that the full animatronic had been taken. Gregory corrected the record. The figure was still on the platform. The costume was the part that was missing. A suspect was a former cast member who used his ID to access backstage areas. He was eventually questioned and arrested in May 2019 in connection with a much larger Haunted Mansion costume theft case. He pleaded no contest to dealing in stolen property. He paid $25,300 in restitution. The Buzzy costume was sold for $8,000 to a buyer that the Orlando Sentinel later identified as a current NBA player. In a 2020 Orlando Sentinel interview, the suspect specifically denied stealing the figure. His exact line was, "It would be ridiculous to steal a 300-pound animatronic." And he suggested that Disney had quietly misplaced Buzzy and stayed silent to avoid the embarrassment. Nothing in that plea established that he took the figure itself. That's what the public record said in 2020. Well, the public record changed in 2025. In February, a documentary called Stolen Kingdom premiered at the Big Sky Documentary Film Festival. Director Joshua Bailey, Bright Sun Films and White Lake Productions, The film follows a Disney urban exploration subculture, the people who slip past the fences at the Closed Horizons Pavilion, at River Country, Discovery Island, and it builds towards Buzzy. Now, the documentary surfaced a second Orange County Sheriff's Office incident report. This was a different case number from the August costume theft. Case 18108086, filed later in 2018 by a cast member who walked into the closed Cranium Command Theater with a flashlight. I'm going to read you part of it because the handwriting tells you what the official summary does. ... and used a flashlight to view the area. The figure was on a platform that was approximately 7 feet in the air. The electrical connections appeared to be severed, and the character was missing. There was considerable fluid in the area that I assume was hydraulic fluid for the character. There was an elevator lift below the platform that had power to it. The area is unsecured and open to anyone in the area. Page 2 was a previous incident that the Orange County Sheriff's Department had investigated involving this character. The character was designated to be taken by Disney Archives, and I have left a message with them to contact me to see if they have taken the character without notification. They have not returned my call. This area is a discontinued part of an attraction called Cranium Command that had been closed for several years. Now go through that in your head. The figure was missing from the platform. The connections that held it there were cut. There was hydraulic fluid pooled on the floor. The same cast member had to call Disney Archives to ask whether Disney itself had quietly come and taken Buzzy without telling anyone. Because Buzzy was on the archival list and somebody had clearly come for him. Archives didn't call back, at least not by the time the report was filed. So the whole picture with the second report in hand is this. The August 2018 theft of the costume was the first incident. Sometime after, and we don't have an exact date, somebody came back to that unsecured backstage area, walked up to the 7-foot platform, severed the connections, left considerable fluid on the floor that the reporting cast member believed was hydraulic, and took the figure. There's no public record showing that Disney Archives had retrieved him. He wasn't publicly accounted for. He hasn't been recovered. Now, whether it was the same person or a different person or someone with inside knowledge, public record won't tell you. The suspect denies it. Disney has never spoken about it on the record, and the case is still open and inactive. The viral tweet from 2018, Buzzy was stolen from Wonders, turned out to be substantially right. I mean, the correction that John Gregory ran 6 days later, based on the only paperwork in public view at that moment, turned out to be incomplete. Both pieces of reporting were honest. The full picture took another 7 years and a whole documentary to surface. So, Cranium Command closed without a goodbye. Carl Sagan died a year after writing about it. Charles Grodin died in 2021. George Wendt more recently. Disney never released the pre-show in high definition. The Lake Buena Vista Historical Society, to their credit, did. And somewhere out there in a private collection, in a storage unit, maybe in a warehouse, maybe on a workbench, Buzzy. The whole figure, plus there's a bomber jacket, a flight cap, and a pair of rubber hands out there that fit nobody else. Love things, my friends, disappear quietly. This one did too. Now, next week, we move to a different attraction. Cranium Command was not the only Disney attraction whose voice cast read like a cabinet of working stars. 5 years after Cranium Command opened, across the same property over in the Magic Kingdom, Disney built a Circle Vision 360-degree theater where Robin Williams played a time-traveling audio animatronic inventor. Rhea Perlman voiced his nine-eyed flying camera droid. The cast around them, Jeremy Irons, Michael Piccoli, Franco Nero, even Gerard Depardieu as a Paris airport employee. It was called The Timekeeper, and we're going to cover it next week. Next time on Grodin and Miraculous. Now, there's a frame in the Cranium Command pre-show that, if you knew what you were looking at, would tell you almost everything what Cranium Command actually was. It was a wide shot of the Cranium Commando cadets standing in formation. Now, the background heads in that shot, as I mentioned, were Xerox photographs of the actual production crew. There was Wives, Trousdale, the pre-show animator, inkers, cleanup artists, Pete Docter himself somewhere. This frame is a self-portrait of the people who made the pre-show, hidden in plain sight. And around that frame, off-screen, but holding the whole thing up, were the rest of them. Jerry Rees was running between the fishbowl and the indie stunt set. Rebecca Rees was pinning storyboards on the wall at 8 months pregnant. Daryl Rooney sat on the same wall next to her. Doug Griffiths and Dave Fighton programming Buzzy frame by frame. Jay Height was setting up a tripod camera in the recording booth for his own initiative one day in 1989 and inadvertently saving Buzzy's performance for the next generation. Sandy Braven, who tried to cut the food fight and who said yes when Rees fought back. Steve Moore, the only animator who survived the Colonel to Rees transition. Jenny Tripp on the script. Corey Burton in the booth as general knowledge. Scott Curtis on Buzzy and Bobby. Charles Grodin, Jon Lovitz, George Wendt, Bobcat Goldthwait, Steve Doucette, Kevin Meaney, Kirk Wise. The names you can see and the names you can't. The faces Xeroxed into the cadet line and the faces standing around it. When the pavilion closed and the lights went out and the bomber jacket walked off and the costume parts vanished into a stranger's collection, the doors were locked. The people who built Cranium Command were still inside it, and they're still inside it. The building is empty. The team portrait is intact. And that is what Cranium Command actually is. The rookies are still in the room. Now we close as we always do with words from Ray Bradbury. Gather round the next great campfire. Let us seek and know and understand and dream a new book, a new instruction book, to fly great spaceship Earth through the uncharted seas of the future world. Bradbury's whole career was a reach forward. He wrote about Mars before we'd ever been there. He wrote about a wall-sized television set in the room before televisions had screens that big. He wrote about firemen who burned books in a country that prided itself on learning. He had the lifelong professional habit of arriving early. But he was also a writer about recognition, about one person in the dark recognizing that what someone else had made, about the campfire being a place where stories pass from hand to hand. And that's what Cranium Command was, a campfire. Lock into a dream that is your own. Find what truth is in your blood and beat a path from here to there. They locked into dreams that were their own, of course. They beat paths from a corner of the animation building to the Disney Renaissance. From a 4-minute pre-show to Inside Out. From a press preview no one believed was going to land to a chapter in the demon-haunted world. From a 240p VHS rip someone made off a tour video to a 4K restoration of Fan Society put back where it belongs. Your life is yours to own and be. The world is yours to shape and change. The stars are yours as just reward. They shaped the world with $3 of clay and a kitchen bucket, with a tripod that someone set up in a recording booth on his own initiative, with a fishbowl behind the Back to Neverland theater, with a cabinet of working comedians cast like a feature film, with a bomber jacket on the shoulders of an audio animatronic who looked at a 12-year-old's chaos and figured out how to fly it. The stars were their reward, not the stars they got. Cranium Command closed quietly in the dark without a goodbye. The star someone else got, a kid in the audience who walked out and decided, without ever knowing the word, that the inside of his own head was a pretty worthwhile place to spend the rest of his life. That's the inheritance. That's the campfire we talk about. The pavilion is dark. The pre-show is restored. The team portrait is intact. For Grand and Miraculous, I'm John. Thanks for riding along. We'll see you next week.